Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
We are broadcasting.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Natira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo, Haribo. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Visamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ajanulambita Bucho Kanakavadato Samkirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishvambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagapriyakaro Karuna Vataro Namasheshtam Manamapi Sachiputram Atra Swarupam Shirupam Tasyagracham Uruparim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhava Sham Prapto Yasya Pratitikapraya Shri Gurum Tamnatosmi Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bando Swananda Data Kurunaika Sindo Vrindavana Sina Hitavatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bo. So first we're going to sing the Das Avatar Stotram, and for that I think that you'll have to unmute yourself, Avantika, to play harmonium. And Srivata, you can also unmute yourself to sing in response. And don't worry if it's off a little bit. Srivata, are you there?
Yes, Marge.
Avantika and Bharat, are you there with your kartals and harmonium?
Yes, Marge, I'm getting the harmonium.
This Dasavatar Stotram, it comes before the Gita Govinda, and the only way to diminish the miseries in life is to hear morning and evening about the avatars of the Lord. The avatars of the Lord come to this world to give pleasure to the devotees and to push down the bad elements in society. And those who take shelter of these avatars by hearing about them in their lila called avatar Katha, then are able to rise above the miseries of the material existence. This is the system. And as I mentioned the other night, when the avatar descends, the avatar brings along with him a channel, or he creates a channel through which we can ascend to the spiritual world by following in his footsteps. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Bejare Muniyotagre Bhagavantam Adhoksacham Sattvam Vishuram Shemaya Kalpante Yenutaniha. Previously, all the great sages, they worshipped these avatars just to achieve the highest benefit of life, going back to Godhead. And when we follow in the footsteps of the acharyas who are worshipping these avatars, then we're able to take that channel that goes right back to the spiritual world, which is a good idea about right now. So let's sing the Dasavatar Stotram together. May we? Pralaya payo dijale dritavanasi vedam vihitra vihitra charitam edam keshavadrita mina sharira jaya jagadisha hare Jai Jagadisha Hari. Everybody together. Jaya Jagadisha Hare.
Yodi
Next
Jale
slide. Next slide. Next slide.
Gopavana Shiveda
Shitiri Hari Pulatare Shatita Vishite. Hey everyone. Dharani Dharana Kinga Chakra
Chakragarishte
Shava
Keshavrita Kurma Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya
Jai
Jagadisha
Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Now next.
Asati Darshana Shikhare
Shana Shikare Dharani
Agna Shashankalam Kakalevani Mahna
Keshav
Keshavadrita
Rupa
Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai
Jai Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Tavakara Kamala
Amalvaruna Kamadhuta Shriram
Dalitaye
Hiranyakashipu Tanubhrim
Keshava
Keshavita Narahari Rupa
Jai
Jai
Jagadish
Jagadish
Hare Jai
Jai
Jagadish
Jagadish Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadish Hare
Chalaya
Jaya Shri Vikramane Bhale Madhuta Vamana Adana Kanira Janita Jana Pavana Keshavadrita Vamarupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare
Jaya
Jaya
Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare Kshatriya Rudhira Mane Jagadapagata Papam Napayasi Payasi Samita Bhavatapam Keshavadrita
Rigupati Rupa Jaya
Jai
Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare Vitarasi Dikshurane Vipati Kamaniyam
Dashamukha
Dashamukhamoli Balim Ramaniyam
Keshava
Keshavadita Rama
Asha
Sharira
Jagadish
Jagadisha
Hare
Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare Asiva Pushi Vishadeva Sanam Jaladabham Halati Bhuti Milita Yamunabham Keshavarita Haladhara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Buddha Dasya
Videraha Shruti Bhatam
Sadayari Dayatashya
Sarvandishita Pashugatam Keshavarita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Jagadish
Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Nidhane Kalayasi Karavalam Ketumira Kim Maharam Kalki Sharira Jaya Jagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jayadeva Kaveri Bhumuditam Dharam Sukadam Shubhadam Bhavatar Keshavati Dashavida Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Vahate Ulam Vivrate Daityam Chalayate Kshayam Kurvate Alasam Jayate Halam Kalayate Yamatharvate Kriti Krate Krishna Yatu Jayate Dasha Kriti Krite Krishna Yatu
God Premanande. Ikta Dasavatar Stotram ki, Dasavatar ki, Gaur Premanande Haribo. It's like we're on different planets doing Harinam. Here we are broadcasting from another planet. So we're going to hear about Krishna from the Bhagavatam tonight. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Everybody try this for a few parts. Let's do the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And, unless you're, in your swimming trunks or something like that, you could turn your I don't mind if you turn your videos on or off whenever it's convenient. Haribol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Unmute just for this part.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Jayamudiraye.
Jaya Mudiraye.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, now you can keep, if you want, you could keep your pictures on, but turn off your, you can mute the sound, especially if you're building a house or baking a cake. Okay, Hare Krishna. So today I'm going to start with the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, our beloved first canto. If you ever get stranded on a desert island and you have the first canto, you're going to be okay. And if there's ever a pandemic and you can't go outside, I hope you got your set of Srimad Bhagavatams in there before the shelter at home was called, because if you have the Bhagavatam, you're okay. You're just doing Chaturmasya. There's no problem. So throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find questions and answers. And the basis of today's class is a thesis, and that is that if you ask better questions, then you'll get better answers. And the better answers that you get in life, the better your life will be, and the more productive it will be. And we find throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam and all the other literatures this dialectic in which there are questions and answers being asked. And so here's a beautiful question from the Bhagavatam, which is made by the sages. In fact, the first chapter of the Bhagavatam is called Questions by the Sages. And this is text number 1:116. And it goes like this. Kova Bhagavatas Tasya Punya Shloke Karmanaha Shurikamona Shrinuyad Yasya Kalimalapaham. So the word for word goes like this. Ka.
Ka.
Who.
Who.
Va.
Va.
Rather.
Rather.
Okay, everyone, go back on mute. Rather. Mute. Okay, everyone.
In the video. Not even in the video.
Go back on mute.
That's okay.
Everyone kindly mute. Sorry, I created a monster. Thank you. Okay. Continuing. Just say it behind the muted mic. Bhagavata of the Lord. Tasya, his. Punya, virtuous. Shloka idya, worshipable by prayers. Karmana, deeds. Shudikama, desiring deliverance from all sins. Na, not. Shriyat, does hear. Yasha, glories. Kali, of the age of coral. Mala apaham, the agent for sanctification. Glad to see that Steph Curry could make the Bhagavatam class today. Translation: who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of coral, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? The translation again. Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of coral, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? Srila Prabhupada's purport. The age of Kali is the most condemned age due to its quarrelsome features. Kali Yuga is so saturated with vicious habits that there is a great fight at the slightest misunderstanding. Those who are engaged in the pure devotional service of the Lord, who are without any desire for self-aggrandizement, and who are freed from the effects of fruitive actions and dry philosophical speculations, are capable of getting out of the estrangements of this complicated age. The leaders of the people are very much anxious to live in peace and friendship, but they have no information of the simple method of hearing the glories of the Lord. On On the contrary, such leaders are opposed to the propagation of the glories of the Lord. In other words, the foolish leaders want to completely deny the existence of the Lord. In the name of secular state, such leaders are enacting various plans every year. But by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all these plans for progress are being constantly frustrated. They have no eyes to see that their attempts at peace and friendship are failing. But here is the hint to get over the hurdle. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify him for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shraddha, if you would kindly put up a picture of Krishna, I would deeply appreciate it. As much as I like Steph Curry, I don't think I want to see him throughout the whole Bhagavatam class. Thank you. Kova Bhagavatastasya punya shloke dikarmana shruti kamun shrinu yasha kali malapaham. Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of coral, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? So the answer to this question comes later in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Shukadeva Goswami says that only people who have become freed from the desire to enjoy the material world will be eager to hear about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Others who are killing themselves, as is mentioned in the Sri Upanishad, Suryanama Teloka Andhena Tamasavrita Tamste Pratyavigachanti Yeke Chatma Hanojanaha. Those who are denying their spiritual existence and working very hard only for the body are killing themselves and giving up the opportunity that's been awarded to them by the process of material nature, through which we get an opportunity to actually inquire about the absolute truth. So in Srila Vyasadev's Vedanta Sutra, he starts with the admonition, atato brahma jignasa, and that is that now is the time to inquire and ask the biggest question of all: who am I? What is Brahman? What is the greatest? And where do I come from? And interestingly, when anyone sincerely asks this question or these questions, the answers are forthcoming, because our best friend is already situated within our heart. He's actually within the heart of every single living entity. Today in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I read a very interesting verse about how the Lord has situated himself within the bodies of all living entities. And those who are advanced in knowledge understand that he's there within the body of every living entity. And especially those who are in the human form of life, Krishna says, can find peace when they understand Krishna's nature as Suhrit. It means good heart, really, Suhrit. And the best friend who's situated within the heart, Krishna, is always ready to reciprocate with us in the most wonderful ways. In the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, he says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. If someone sincerely worships me, and that doesn't even mean they have to be at a top level of worship. If they worship Krishna just intuitively, out of a sincere desire to know him and to know the answers of life, then Krishna says that dadami buddhi yogam tam. To such a person, I give the intelligence by which he or she can come to me. He's already there, ready to give the answers and to give the direction. One simply needs to ask. And then he says, Teshan ivanukam partam aham agyana jam tamaha Nashayam Yatma Bhavasto Jnana Deepena Bhashvata. And that is for the person who's inquiring, who's asking the questions, Krishna, how do I know you? Krishna, how do I make advancement in spiritual life? To such a person, Krishna says, I illuminate their heart. Like I become the lamp of knowledge within their heart. So academic knowledge is different from this kind of knowledge. It comes from Krishna directly. And if somebody asks the sincere question, how do I come closer to you? And then takes the direction that Krishna gives from within the heart, then Krishna continues to direct such a person, illuminating the heart, giving knowledge, and directing every step. That includes arranging ways in which one can meet devotees. This is something Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in his teachings. Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. When the wandering living entity, he's moving from one Brahmanda to the next, trying to find some place to rest and find happiness. When such a person comes in contact with a devotee, then Krishna becomes available to such a person. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that just as before you see the sun in the morning, you see the sunlight. And before you see Krishna, you see the devotees. So Krishna makes this arrangement for anybody sincere. And for one who actually asks questions, Krishna, how can I reach you? To verbalize these, to continue asking the question, how can I improve? How can I be better in devotional service? When we're asking these questions sincerely, Krishna will answer and give us the direction so we can come to him. So here the sages ask many, many questions, and we can follow in their footsteps by refining the way we ask questions. So now here are a few questions that we can ask that will help us in all circumstances in life. And we have choices the way we ask. So the first one, I noticed sometimes let's just say if there was there was a pandemic, something happened and a virus got loose and it went all over the planet, and then everyone was asked to stay inside for a period of time and not go anywhere. And let's just say you were kind of feeling cramped in there, and maybe you're around family members and they're making noise or they're moving in the kinds of ways you weren't expecting, and you felt a little bit irritated or something like that. I mean, just creating a scenario, possible scenario. And so then what could you do? Well, one of the ways in which you can immediately come to a higher level of consciousness is by asking a better question. So first, let me start with a question that is doomed, that dooms us to misery. So make sure you don't ask this question very much. So the first question is, how can I get more comfortable? Of course, we need a modicum of comfort in life. And Bhagavatam says, Kamasa nendriya pritir labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasya narto yashe karmabi. You should be comfortable enough so that you can go on asking good questions. But don't make that the ultimate goal. And if the question is, how can I be more comfortable, and how can I be, how can my life be more convenient here? Then you're opening the door to frustration. But if you switch that question out and you say, how can I serve? How can I be of service here? Then you'll notice that right away you feel connected to your purpose, and the anxiety of trying to get comfortable and not being able to do so goes away, and the mind becomes peaceful. After all, Prahlad Maharaj says that actually there are no troubles in this world except for the uncontrolled mind and senses. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended to Sanatana Goswami when he began his teachings that Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, understand what your Swarup is, you're a servant. And if you align with that and keep asking the question, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? How can I be of service? Then you'll notice that not only do you feel like you've risen above the anxieties of how to get comfortable, but you also then become very popular with everyone around you. People will think, what happened to you? You're so congenial, because you're looking to see how you can serve others. So this is a very important question. And if we continue asking the question in bigger ways, and that is saying, how can I serve the most number of people? What's the best kind of service that I can render? And we become connoisseurs of service to see how can I make my service more and more refined. Then in that endeavor and living for that, one naturally feels happy despite the environment. So that's the first question I'm going to mention tonight, and I have two more after that. But before I go on, I'm going to take some reflections or questions about that, if you want to expand it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Avantika.
Hare Krishna, Avantika.
So for the first question you just asked, like for how can I, like a lot of us often say, like, how can we get more comfortable in the material world? Like practically speaking, I guess that's what most of us want to do. So how should we think, how should we get in the mindset, how can I serve, instead of wanting more comfort for ourselves?
Well, one thing is to ask the question. And if you say that, it's like a mantra. And it's amazing, these questions that I'm going to mention, if you actually verbalize them when you're feeling inconvenienced. And again, just to say, I'm not saying that we don't go out of our way to be inconvenienced. There are some traditions where, there's some kind of self-loathing because you have a material body, and the tradition imposes some kind of austere circumstances so that you feel uncomfortable all the time. So you remember, I'm not this material body. That's not our intention. The Bhagavatam says, yeah, try to be comfortable. Get the necessities in life so that you can feel satisfied. But don't keep asking more and more. I need more comfort. I need more comfort. Ask the different question: how can I be of service? So let's just say you ask that question to somebody. What would their reaction be?
For how can I serve?
Why don't you go check it out? Are you in your house?
Yeah.
Are your parents downstairs?
Yeah, my dad's in the other room.
Just go ask him, how can I be of service? And then see what he says, and then come back.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Should I bring?
You can leave your camera there if you, okay, bring it with you. Let's see. This is an experiment to see what happens when you ask this question.
So one point I had was.
Wait till she's almost
Okay.
there. 1 second.
How can I
Let's
serve?
see what.
So what is your question?
How can I serve?
You can serve in many ways. You can serve by chanting a good round. You can serve by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. You can serve by finding a ways how we could spread the Sankirtan movement, thinking about what is the best we could do in these circumstances.
You just got a lot of service all of a sudden.
I can have help in the kitchen.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thanks, Avantika. That was a good, you ask the right person and you start read Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, go on Sankirtan. and you're set for life for a long time.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for doing that. And what a good question you asked. Sundar, what was your point?
No, I was just making the point that it depends on, as you said, you have to ask that question to the right person. Otherwise, if you ask your manager, how can I be of service? He can give you a lot more work. So I guess it has to be asked to the right person.
Okay, you want to ask the right person, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other reflections?
Well, one more reflection, Prabhu. I really like the point. I mean, how you started the class by saying how Krishna is a well-wisher in our heart, and it gives so much encouragement that yes, Krishna is there to care for us.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it feels like the world's a little oppressive. And the other question that people sometimes ask because of that is, why me? Why is this happening to me? And the antidote, the counter to that question is, what's the lesson? What is this teaching? This particular situation, what's happening? And the reason that's effective is because there always is a lesson. The universe is set up in such a way that it's meant to refine us and teach us something. That's why Brahma mentions this when he says that te anukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. That the devotee is always aware of the fact that whatever's happening to me is meant to teach me something. And one should also cultivate knowledge that Krishna is 100% benevolent, and his intentions are benevolent. And really, the world and karma, what we see as karma in this world, is fair and neutral. But if somebody exploits, then the reaction is fair. And it's really meant to nudge us in a certain way so that we become refined in our consciousness and the way we work. So there's always a lesson. And if you use this mantra when things seem inconvenient, or when something goes the way you didn't want it to go, which is kind of what inconvenience means, then you can ask this question, what is the lesson? And it's amazing how quickly you can rise above the situation by seeking the lesson in whatever's happening to you at that particular time. Gopal Champu, Prabhu, what do you think so far? What are your thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, these are my bases.
Hare Krishna. Please, Prabhupada, good to see you.
Good to see you also. Oh, I just been reflecting on this overall situation, and well, one thing it's led to recently is just even today we were thinking, just brainstorming how to get this message out, and we ended up contacting a few devotees we know that work at hospitals, and they took some Bhagavad Gitas, and so they'll be distributing them there in the hospitals. And that's.
So you're asking the question, like, how can I serve? And also, what's the lesson in this and how to get the best out of it, right?
Right. I think my microphone was muted when I kept speaking. But we actually just today we were just brainstorming how to kind of just what we can do in this situation. So we reached out to a few devotees who are working in hospitals, and they actually agreed to take Bhagavad Gitas and keep them in the chapels, and said they've noticed there's a lot of people coming in, and like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the distress are one of the people that turn towards spiritual life. So therefore, now people are in a lot of distress and anxiety, which gives us a good open playing field to that.
Good for you. Thank you very much. Great to see you. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, this is Manjula. Manjula Kanta.
Yes, Manjula Kanta, go ahead.
Guru Maharaj, I liked what you said about the material world being fair and neutral. Because I always keep asking you, it's not fair, it's not fair. And you always tell me that Krishna is merciful and mercy is not fair. Mercy is above that. So for once, I'm very grateful I'm under Krishna's mercy rather than this material world's fair and neutral, decision. Everyone prefers mercy, especially at a time like this.
Yeah. In the Gita, Krishna says, Udasina, he talks about how I'm situated as though neutral. But elsewhere, he talks about how he's the suhrid, he's the best friend of everyone. And then he says the best way to come to peace, even in midst of this turbulence of the material world, which is always there, is gyatva, to know that. To know what? To know the fact that Krishna is our friend. If we have that understanding that Krishna is our friend, that the environment is friendly because the environment's emanating from him. And it's only our reaction as we're moving about the environment that creates the turbulence in our life. And if one has that understanding, then he or she, Krishna says, becomes shantam, or peaceful. So that's of course, there's two other aspects to the peace formula. One of them is the bhoktaram jagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. If you become a shoplifter and you go around stealing stuff all the time, you're never going to be peaceful. So Krishna says, understand that this stuff all belongs to me. And it makes a lot of sense because we come into the world with nothing and we leave it with nothing. And so how is it that I claim certain things, these are my things when I come in? And basically, Krishna's teaching us that don't steal. Learn how to use everything for service. And if you use it for service, if you serve Krishna. This morning I was talking to Amrita Nam Prabhu out on his farm in North Carolina. And he was telling me about the cows. And they have such sweet cows there. They're each one of them has a personality. These are obvious things, but he gets attached to them. And even his father became very attached to the cows and feeds them and so forth. And he said that the cows have a very, very high capacity to accept affection. Sometimes human beings, it's hard. If you give them love or affection, they may or may not be able to take it. But in his relationship with his cows there, he said, oh, the cows, they can take so much affection from us. And it's very satisfying because we want to give something. And then he thought, but Krishna can take even more. And this is the point he's making here, that Krishna is he can take all the kinds of things we want to give him and all the affection, even if the intention is really tiny, or he'll still accept that. It's like this is the best kind of circumstance when we know the person to give our love and affection. And even of course there's dravya, there's material things we have. It's like, oh, give it to Krishna. He says, but even better than that is when we give ourselves out of knowledge and our service and so forth. But he said a starting point is yat karoshi adashnashi yat johasi dadasi yat tapasyasi konti yat tat kurishva manarpanam. That whatever you do, whatever you offer, give away, do it as an offering to me. That's how we become happy, actually, because Krishna can accept it. And also, I think in times like these means this kind of surreal situation everyone's in where there's nothing they can do. Maya is just sort of frozen everybody in one place. In these types of circumstances, people get a glimpse into the fact that I have very little control over my circumstances, my work, my wealth. You can collect all kinds of wealth and then all of a sudden it's just drained out. And you go like, where'd it go? It's like, I don't know, I never really had it. And it reminds me of a story in the Bhagavatam. It comes in the 7th canto, just after the Prahlad Maharaj meets Lord Nrsingadev, and there's this story about how Lord Shiva is fighting to help the demigods, and there are these three aerial cities from which the demons are attacking, and there's a disadvantage. Shiva's at a disadvantage because one of the powerful demons there has created a pond of nectar through which every time Shiva kills one of the demons, they dip them in the pond and he comes back to life stronger than ever. Prabhupada comments there that there's a kind of Ayurvedic medicine like that that's supposed to bring a dead person back to life. But in any case, Shiva felt powerless against that, but Vishnu and Brahma went in the form of a cow and a calf. And they went into that demoniac city in those two forms, and they walked up to the pool of nectar, and they just started drinking it all, taking it all away. And Mayadanava was there, and he was watching. He had created that pool of nectar and the three cities as well, and he was helping the demons, and he couldn't do anything about it. And he was just amazed, and he said, whatever's destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere at any time, whether one's a demigod, a human being, or anyone else. It can't be undone. And when we have that kind of realization that I'm working against a divine energy that's much higher than, more powerful than I am, and then I give myself to Krishna, like all my things are actually meant for Krishna and for his service, then there's the anxiety is not there. Gyatva mam shantam richati. So Krishna can take it, and if you give it to Krishna, then you actually get the benefit, just like the branches on a tree get the benefit when you water the root of the tree. Thank you for your points and for the nice poster you have on the wall there too. How about another comment or a question before I go on to the next section?
Maharaj, on Facebook.
Yes, Shraddha Devi Dasi, please tell us what devotees are saying on Facebook.
Well, on the Facebook, we have two comments. One is from Dan Keli Devi Dasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dana Keli, thank you for joining. Yes, go ahead.
She says that Krishna is 100% benevolent. He is in our heart. And being in contact with higher thoughts, he is just a breath away.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Such a simple thing, yet so difficult for folks to accept.
Yeah, but oftentimes when we have nowhere else to turn, and then we hear that, it's so enlivening to remember that actually Krishna is there for us always, at every moment. Gajendra, when he was in trouble, I mean, Gajendra thought he had it made. He was the elephant, king of the jungle. People used to get out of his way. People like that when when they're so powerful that everyone else gets out of their way. All the animals, they'd see him coming and they just, move. So people like that, they get so much fame or wealth or power that they're moving along and everyone's making a little aisle for them. And they're thinking like, wow, I'm really something. And living in little Jiva gets in the world and thinks, I'm really something, no matter what kind of little borrowed power he has. And so Gajendra thought like that. He was a little intoxicated and he had a nice family and he went down to the lake and everything seemed fine. And then he got that crocodile on his leg. And then Prabhupada points out, we really all have a crocodile on our leg. And if we don't now, we will. And then he realized, I can't shake this off. And that's a interesting time for the living being who all of a sudden realizes that, I can't shake this. Then what does he do? So Gajendra, just by natural instinct, because of his momentum and spiritual life from his last life, started offering prayers to the Lord, even before he understood completely who the Lord was. And because of that, oh, we're finished at 6?
Can you start at 5?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. We'll be here all night. I just got a note saying we'll be here all night.
She can't send out the stuff till you send it.
We are ready, Maharaj, to be here.
Well, we don't start till 6:30 on that one.
Right.
So I decided to add a little banter in here to make it more interesting. Yeah, so Gajendra then, he started offering prayers and he felt relief. He immediately felt relief because he, you know, that's the nature of the living entity. When we call out to Krishna, then we feel happy. And so then Gajendra says his realization was that Krishna, you've always been there. You're always there. Even before I start to pray, he realized you're there. And so that it's not that, you know, you turn around and become attentive when I start to pray, you're already attentive. So, you know, really bhakti means just realize that we are right next to Krishna, Krishna's right next to us, and that we should turn our attention to him. This is what it says in the Bhagavatam, Bhayam dvitiya vinibesha tasyad ishara pe tasya viparya yosmiti, tanmaya bhuta abhajatam bhakyaika yesha gurudeva tatma, and that is that we're in trouble because we've forgotten Krishna. I'm just summarizing the verse. And what's the solution? Remember him. And you know, with one pointed attention, focus on Krishna, and then your problems will go away. So take shelter of Krishna in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, in dangerous situations. When you're trying to solve the problems of life, just ask Krishna and keep asking the questions. How can I serve you? And the other two questions I gave were, what's the lesson? First is, how can I serve? Next one is, what's the lesson? And the third one that really helps when you're stuck in a house and you can't go out, and that is, what's the best use of my time right now? Keep asking yourself that question, because it takes you out of your mind that's trying to think like what's going to happen in the future. Nothing's going to happen in the future. Only thing that's ever going to happen is right now, and now you can do something about it. So keep asking, what's the best use of my time right now? I was thinking about our dear devotee who's in Arizona in prison. And I went to visit him, and he's in prison. He's got a cell much smaller than the rooms I'm looking at in all your rooms there. And, you know, he had a big smile on his face when I was talking to him. He's in prison for life, no possibility of parole. And so I said, how come you're so happy? Like, you look happy. I said, you look happy. And he said, yeah, well, that's the question people ask me in here. They said, you know, I'm not getting out. Why are you happy? And he said, because I'm in this cell, but actually I have a regulated life. I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I'm reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and I feel satisfied. And today I was thinking, it's kind of like everyone's in jail now. And no one realized it before, but now is a little bit of a understanding. And every once in a while, I think of him, Balavan Nitai, in jail, wherever I go, I'm thinking like, here's my little cell for right now. This is where I'm going to be staying. And now how to become fully conscious and efficient in that little cell. So that's where we are now. And this is how to rise above it, by asking a few good questions and keep asking them. And Krishna will help you with the answers. Okay, we have 1 minute. Is there any last, are there any last questions? Yes. I see you're in the queue. That's what it is. Go right ahead.
Go. Hare Krishna
Oh,
Maharaj.
you have 30 seconds. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Lekasha Danali. I just want to ask if, like, for example, if I pick up a skill and I feel like, okay, this is what I want to, I think this is my best use of my potential for Krishna service. Is there any evidence that will show me that this is or this isn't? Like, how do we know that our mind is not playing trick upon us?
about doing the best kind of service for Krishna?
Yeah. Like if I want to like pick up a skill and then I'm thinking, okay, this is my way of serving Krishna. How do I know that it's true or my mind is just
well, one thing is check it with Bhagavad Gita and see if it's the kind of thing, you know, Krishna wants you to do. And check it with sadhus or those who are advanced in devotional service, guru, sadhu, and shastra. And then, you know, check with your mentors and who will tell you, you know, this is good. And then you'll also see when you're properly situated, when you're doing some service for Krishna, you'll feel satisfied also when you're connected.
Okay.
But you can offer anything to Krishna practically, you know, whatever skill you have or whatever interest you have in life. That's why Krishna says, yeah, koroshi adashnasi as johosi adadasya. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, give away, just do it as an offering to me. So let's just say you're stuck in a corporate job somewhere.
Yes, Maharaj.
And then Prabhupada says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you should say and think that I'm doing this for Krishna. This is my prescribed duty right now. I'm doing it for Krishna. And then if you really want to make it real, then donate some of the fruit of that to Krishna. And then you really start feeling it. Give a percentage, you know, so that way you're feeling like this is, you'll feel the connection.
Yeah.
And it'll just improve from there.
Okay.
So I just got a note a little while ago that I only had till 6. So I guess this is the end for today, but we'll keep having classes, I think, throughout the week and things like that. And everyone looks great. I'm checking. Everyone looks happy and great, smiling from all over the world. I see. Okay. Well, keep up the good work, everybody. Keep the transcendental vibration going. And we'll look forward to seeing you really soon. Okay? We'll just end with a little kirtan to keep the vibration going. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vinamine.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vinamine.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Dirshesha Shukravani Pashatyari Sakari. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura. Everybody, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Ananda Gauranga Haribo Shivasari Gaura. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura. Everybody, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura. Jai Shri
Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Shraddha, and group.
Yeah, good starting.
Hare
Innovative dancing.
Hare Krishna.
First group to start the dancing.